Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Monday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're here live with our whole crew, our Zoom crew, and hope you had a good holiday weekend. Didn't feel like Sunday yesterday, but it was Sunday. Was it Sunday?
It was, but I think we celebrated Easter on Saturday.
That's what happened.
So that's why.
That's what happened.
That'll throw you off.
We're getting into me and Mara get into some garden design.
Oh, wow.
And
what are you going to grow?
We're going to try to make a whole edible backyard. That's the whole idea.
Edible by human beings?
I hopefully not just the various rodents.
Oh yeah,
Edible by humans. Edible by humans. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
The cats are going crazy in this house because my daughter got like 6 little birds yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah. So now the cats are like.
Well, I had my own wildlife thing yesterday, Raghunath.
Yeah. Tell me, you had wildlife in New York. I heard New York's getting a little wild lately.
It was wild. I was. I went out early in the morning. I do japa walks sometimes in the park, and there's that area called the Ramble. You know the Ramble?
Yeah, I know the Ramble.
Nobody used to go to the Ramble because it was just so seedy.
Yeah, the Ramble people lived in the Ramble.
There was all kind of stuff going on, but now it's good. It's all nice, and but I was all alone. It's thickly wooded area with just paved trails through it. But
what did you see?
I saw a coyote.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Coyote.
Wild
sometimes
coyote.
There's coyotes mixed with regular dogs, and we call them koi. Koi dogs.
I want to get away with this little nugget that you've got here about.
I'm just telling you because we have them here too. They're sort of like mangy, scrawny old dogs.
This was like a powerful looking coyote, and just roaming lone. Like a lone wolf.
They're not like lone wolves. Wolves are big.
It was big. This thing was big. I'm telling you.
Are you trying to make the story bigger and better than it actually was?
But it was like a lone wolf out there.
Are you sure someone didn't lose their dog, Stuba?
No, it wasn't, I swear. But it was nice. It was we had a little connection, Raghunath. There's 2 of us alone out there just kind of looking at each other. Are you safe? Are you going to hurt me?
You put up your pinky, he put up his paw.
Yeah, put up his little paw. It's amazing you can see a coyote in the middle of Manhattan like that, though, huh?
That is cool. He's completely like, what do I do with my life? He's like,
how did it get there? How many blocks did
generations?
You think so?
No, they probably came down through the woods through Westchester and ended up there.
But the whole way through the Bronx, and the whole way through Harlem, and the whole way, all the way. Amazing.
Yeah. There was like some strange animal in New York a few years ago. What was it that they were all trying to track down and catch? Do you remember that? What was that?
Probably a coyote or something. Huh?
Maybe it was a coyote. Yeah, maybe it was a coyote. Well, you saw it. Well, me and
Yeah.
Mara went for a great hike yesterday. We hiked up one of the sacred Shaker Mountains.
Did you see any wild animals?
No, we didn't see any wild man. I was ready to see a bear though, because they're all coming out of hibernation now.
You know, it made me feel a little bit like, made me contemplate the life of the mendicant. Like you wander through the forest and there's animals there, and it makes you really have to come to terms with the philosophy that we talk about all the time. Like about about not being afraid that there's a Paramatma within this animal, and you know what I'm saying? You have to be a little fearless. You have to put your faith in God to wander alone in the forest.
Yeah, let's see how good that faith is when you see like an actual tiger.
That's the thing. That's what I'm telling
Yeah,
you. It takes
puma.
courage.
A puma a cougar just killed somebody this week in California mountains.
Oh, okay.
Just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, well, you're really
I'll
up to
give you
date
the latest
on this kind of
update on
thing.
animal attacks.
Okay. All right. Anyway, we'll talk about
You ever
this
see
whole.
those signs on the way from the
Uh,
Dehradun airport to Rishikesh that say "Beware of wild elephants"?
I'm not sure if I saw that or not. I had a wonderful trip when I arrived in Dehradun and took that ride. It felt really good to be up in that area
Yeah,
of
it
the
feels
world.
great until you see those signs. It's all good when
It
you're in
felt good.
ignorance.
All right.
Anyway, I'm a little wiped out. We have band practice with Shelter. Shelter's together and preparing to hit the
All
road
right.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Great.
I know.
Doing all the classics.
Playing some of the classics. Yeah, a lot of all classics actually. It was actually really fun to play those songs.
Hmm.
And yeah, the song, when I sing these songs, which I haven't really sang in a long time, they're so Krishna conscious.
Hmm.
They're like super duper Krishna conscious. They were meant to explain Krishna consciousness to people who don't know anything about Krishna consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like reading, you know, introduction books on spirituality, but
Right. You're
meeting a
taking them
person
right out
at
of the books.
yeah. Yeah, I'm taking it right out of the books. And I reflect where my mind was at when I wrote these things.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was actually great. It was
You've been
actually
doing a lot of
great
reflection
practice.
on your path in this life lately, right? Writing the book,
Yeah.
doing these songs.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
You ended up right where
Are
I
you
told
going
you
to
not
the
to
New
go.
York show, by the
We're
way?
gonna hold it just a second.
What?
I told you right before the show. I said get that microphone off of the side. You're halfway off the camera now. Bring it in the middle, and
Oh, yeah.
ideally back off a little from the camera so
Ah.
we're not looking straight up your nose. There you go.
Are you going to the Brooklyn show, by the way?
If you would like me to.
Yeah, if you want to, come on down.
I got a message from Krishna Mike. He said, "Are you going to the Shelter show?" I'm going there with. I may show with Krishna Mike.
All right, let's do this. All right,
When is that?
it's Sunday. It's an early show.
Oh, it's just like a week from now.
Oh, yeah, less than
Wow,
a week.
okay.
My
All right.
daughter's going. I'm excited.
Where is it in Brooklyn?
Bowery bought. Harmon, they put it on the board. I don't know.
Okay,
where
I'll
it
come
is.
out and support you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Support us. Scream. You got to make some noise though. Woo,
Okay.
Stuff like that.
All right, not just be there.
Yeah.
Do you want to set up a Wisdom of the Sages table or something like that? I'll work the table if you want.
We have a shelter table. Why don't you work that? Because
I don't want to work the Shelter table. It's like I want to work the Wisdom of the Sages table. Let me do my seva.
what are you gonna do? What are we working there?
I don't know. Don't we have stuff?
I don't think so.
We had some T-shirts we used to. All right, we
That would
don't
be
have our
funny.
act together.
Maybe
Now that we got
should do
Linda,
some-
we got to figure all that stuff out.
Okay.
Merch.
All right. Let's get on with the show. We're just
Yeah.
gabbing.
Let's go. It's Monday. Mara, any
I got
announcements?
some announcements. Yeah.
Okay.
We have back to recovery group meetings today at 1, 2, and 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
And then because we're traveling, there's no show Tuesday and Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday, we're going to be back on at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Do you
That's
hear that?
crazy.
That's
3
crazy.
p.m. Eastern
3
time.
p.m. Look,
People
Chuck
are
was
looking
lost,
distraught.
isn't
Kylie Brown's like, "What? It screws everything up."
he? 3
Screws
p.m.
everything.
She's like, I'm in bed by then. I gotta wake up early to chant japa, to chant my 64 rounds. Yeah, 3 p.m. What are those dates?
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday.
No show tomorrow and the next day. Rugnath's
It's gonna
going
be
on
hard.
a
The next 2
crazy
weeks,
trip.
just bear with me. I'm
and then the following week, Rugnath's just like gone. Just like gone. You are gone. And I'm trying to line up some different people for that week to do different kind of shows. So let's see what we can do.
There's a lot of people out there much better and qualified than me. Because he was going to bring them in, make the show.
No,
better.
you're the guy, Rugnath. You're the guy. Oh, by the way, I saw your interview on the Nam Ross podcast.
Oh, how was it? I didn't see it. Did I say
You did
stupid
great. I
things?
didn't see the whole thing. I saw it kind of like the premiere as it was coming on live, so I didn't see the beginning of it.
Okay.
I don't know how much I missed, but I thought you were really on. Aside from interrupting them all the time, you were really
do that.
pumping out a lot of good stuff. You know?
Timothy Tucker said it was great. Okay.
Yeah, I thought
Thank
it
you,
was very
guys.
good.
Check out the
And-
Nam Ross podcast with me on it. And that was
That's
the
on
the
YouTube.
day before we went to India. We did that podcast.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they were like a couple shelter fanboys. I didn't
I
know
didn't
that.
realize that.
Yeah.
He grew up. He grew up in the New Jersey
Both
temple community, so it's like
Nam Ross.
yeah. So sometimes as parents of devotees, the only music they'd let the kids listen to was Shelter. They were on like a strict sonic diet.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get into serious stuff. Oh, yeah, I have to mention Italy again. Italy is happening, and we want y'all to come. If you're looking, it's kid friendly. My kids are coming. Other kids are coming. We want you to come, and there's some space left. But we're trying to make it as excellent as possible. If you want to get away for the summer and you think, well, I don't want to be in total Maya, come with us. It's Maya, and it's also no, it's not Maya. It's not Maya. It's very Krishna conscious. But you're in a beautiful backdrop of a place where people vacation to. So check out our Italy, and it's very reasonably priced. Go to wisdomthesages.com and check out our Italy.
Is it up there?
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. So let's dive in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
No, we got a nugget.
Oh, we got a nugget first.
It's Monday. Come on, Raghunath. Wake up. Get with it.
We were supposed to do the show at 8 o'clock today.
Yeah, but you didn't tell Mara the right time.
That was
You're
actually
grumpy.
my
You're a little
fault.
grumpy. You're a little.
I'm a little grumpy. I'm a little tired.
I can see that.
It's hard to be in a band.
Yeah, nobody said, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, Raghunath. Nobody said it's going to be easy, okay?
All right.
You ready? Who's it from?
This is from Aristotle.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is- This is a good one. This is exactly what we were talking about in our walk yesterday. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom.
That's where it starts.
Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of people on this path, they go through an initial purging. It's almost like it's excitement because there's knowledge and there's information and the culture's so beautiful. And then if they're sincere, there's like a purging. And the purging is Krishna starts holding a mirror up in front of your face and shows you like, you've been presenting yourself like this all these years for your ego. But there's a real you. This other thing is not you. This is your pretentious self.
Oh.
And when you start getting that glimpse, it becomes ugly how much we're just put in on shows for people. And so part of like self-realization, which sounds so beautiful and sounds so lovely, is
Self-disgust.
faith.
Self-hatred.
Well, it's discussed in how I've been living in
false self.
my ego my whole life.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I start to realize this isn't me. That's not me. I can't believe I was showing off this part of myself. And I thought this was so special about me. It's not even me. And so, yeah, so I think that the beginning of knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom is true. And the beginning of knowing your false self is also the beginning of wisdom. Because you stop leaning into your material self and presenting yourself. And I tell you, there's something beautiful, whether the person's a devotee of Krishna or not, and people could just be like authentic and not. Sometimes you meet people, spiritual people, especially in the yoga community, that are so pretentious. It makes you wanna-
Especially in the yoga community.
the yoga community, you see all the time. but they're just so pretentious, and it's just like you can't even just be at peace around them. But there's people that are just like authentic with who they are and their shortcomings, and it's an attractive thing. Authenticity is very attractive. It's what we work on in our spiritual life. How can I be authentic? How can I be sincere? How can I be genuine? How can I be vulnerable? These are important things. We don't want to hear about your connection to light, and it's like it gets old quick, and um, it's almost like a performance for
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all that. That's all that stuff is that's where it gets real. I was thinking of Aristotle's statement a little broader.
Tell me,
Okay.
did you see my finger doing
I
that?
knew you were up to something there. So the beginning of all knowledge is to know the self. In other words, there's so many questions about life. There are these deep existential questions,
Mhm.
um, and we can try to figure them out. It's like, what am I doing here in this world? What is the meaning of life?
Yeah.
Within our Bhakti philosophy, these questions get very deep. Like there's this kind of more conventional Vedantic teachings, but as you get deeper into Bhakti philosophy and its esoteric side, it begins to ask all these amazing questions. Like maybe my nature's Satchit Ananda, like eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, right? But what do we do eternally? Like if
Yeah.
I am eternal, like how am I engaged eternally?
What does that tangibly mean?
Yeah, or bliss, like upon release from the bond of illusion, what do I do eternally? What is the nature of that bliss? Can we describe that bliss in greater clarity, with greater clarity, so that I can really understand what is the full blossoming of my spiritual potential? Or like if this world is reflection, like confidential Vedanta is saying, right? Like if it's like, I'm sorry, like conventional Vedanta is saying, this is an illusion or this is a reflection. Well, then what's the source of the reflection?
Sure.
What's that all about? You know, um, or if this world is kind of like a virtual reality, how did I get stuck in it? And what's the meaning of my existence within this world? And why am I passing through these different bodies and experiencing joy and suffering, up and down? And what am I meant to learn from it? And what is its purpose? So like that is such important wisdom. What to speak of like the full, like that question I mentioned earlier, like that, what do I do eternally? Or what is the nature of my bliss? How does that manifest in beautiful esoteric ways? But to start, those are all incredibly important, wonderful questions that we should be exploring. But the start of it is to know the self. So this isn't like when we study Bhakti philosophy, when we study Bhagavad Gita, when we study Srimad Bhagavatam, it's not like a I guess I could say a religious approach, but let's qualify that a bit more. Like it's not like a simplistic religious approach, like saying, okay, here it is,
believe.
everybody. What?
You just believe.
Yeah, exactly. Just believe this and you're saved, and don't believe it. And if you don't believe it, you're really going to suffer like eternally. That's a very simplistic approach.
It's almost not only a simplistic approach, it's almost like
A
blackmailing a person.
yeah, traumatic kind of approach.
Yeah.
It'll cause. Whereas this says, okay, let's try to understand reality. Let's begin by looking at yourself, right? Look at yourself first, like the thing that you are most fully engaged with, your own mind, your own body. Let's try to understand, let's ask that first question, who am I? Right? Who am I? Let's start right there, and let's examine it by looking at, am I my body? Am I my mind? Or am I the person who's experiencing the body and mind? And if that's the fact, then what's the next step in my pursuing knowledge? And so it all starts, as Aristotle's saying, it kind of knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. That's where you have to start. It's a really it's kind of respecting the person that you're talking to, right? Let's say, okay, well, examine for yourself. You know, are you this body? Haven't you existed in other bodies, even in this life? Well, what do you mean? Well, like you were in a child's body at one point, right? Yeah, well, that's this body. Well, it's not really, because all the ingredients that make that up, they're not here anymore. So you were in a different body back then than you are right now. But your awareness has been through both of those bodies. So it appears that you, the aware, observer, has been through more than one body. So you're not dependent on the body. You are not that body. Okay, interesting. Well, let's look at the mind. Isn't the mind similar? Isn't the mind the thoughts that are programmed within the mind? You go through many different mindsets throughout life. They change. Is it so hard to believe that when you pass on from this body, that there's going to be a reprogramming, that there's going to be a whole new setup? Maybe you take some of that information, but isn't there like updating and erasing and so on from the computer of the mind?
This entire approach to God consciousness is so refreshing.
It's refreshing. It's respectful.
It's so refreshing instead of just believe.
Yeah.
Just believe it.
And then when you
just believe and be good,
or you're in trouble.
Or you're in trouble, big trouble. Like how
really
big?
Big trouble.
Like eternally, a life sentence? No,
burning in fire forever. Oh, yeah. So it's really respecting, the inquirer, and it's it's a solid foundation to begin to go and pursue these really beautiful esoteric questions. And so that's what's happening. What we're reading about time right now is great. It's Prahlad speaking to these kids, and that's where he's starting. He's starting right there. Let's try to understand who we are first. Knowing the self will be the beginning of all wisdom, and then we can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Get more beautiful, get more esoteric, get more answer more special, far out questions that we thought were impossible to understand just because we didn't have a strong foundation to begin with. Like if I don't first pursue, like, I'm not my body, well, then how am I ever going to pursue those deep? I may just get frustrated that these things can never be known. These unfathomable kind of questions that we may feel intimidated by them, too intimidated to even approach them, and just settle into conviction that there's no way to understand all this stuff, and no one ever has, and nobody ever will. Like you hear those kind of statements.
Sure.
How the hell do you know that? How do you know that nobody's discovered the answers to these questions?
Yeah, it's like saying you can't figure out this computer. No one can figure this thing out. Yeah, there's people that can figure it out. There's people that built it.
Right. And they can tell you how it all works.
Yeah. No way. It's too crazy. How do you get a picture on the screen? I can talk to you. I can send you a message. You can send it back. How are you supposed to figure that out? Yeah. There's people that do it. Yeah. I don't know how to do it. Yeah. Anyway, I do love this. And it's almost like, but it is sort of like, we get all these teachings are such an incredible user's manual.
Yeah.
To life and existence and understanding spirit. Just saying you are spirit and not a body. That's just simple statement. That's
everything starts to open up. Yeah.
Everything starts to open up like, oh, wait a second. That means I'm not a white American male. That changes everything in culture today. If you say I'm not
a lot less guilt,
a lot less guilt. I'm not a white American male. And not only that, I don't own anybody in this world. I don't own anybody. I can't possess anything. Yeah. I'm not of this nation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very interesting. Like,
and then it comes and says, "Oh, and by the way, your nature is that you're eternal,
and you're blissful.
You're full of knowledge and full of bliss
all the time."
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then the question comes: well, how did I lose touch with that nature? Okay, let's examine it. That it's such a refreshing approach to try and understand truth.
I mentioned this in my book, Punk to Monk. If you didn't get it, get it. If you did get it,
double it.
I say double it all the time now with anything. Hey,
double it.
When Maris like, hey, you want some more? Shot? I was like, yeah, double it.
You're at the grocery store. Will you need a bag with this? Double it. All right. All right.
Vegan ice cream cone. Double it.
Double it.
Okay. Anyway, I wrote this in my book, but it
Okay.
was like one of these big spiritual epiphanies I had when I was a young man. Young man was that statement like, are you doing this for you? Where are you getting your happiness from? Are you doing it for your own person? Are you getting your happiness?
What did you write in that
From
book,
the
Raghunath?
Where are you getting your happiness? Is it happiness from the soul or
Okay.
happiness from the ego?
Yeah. Epiphany.
And I started to reflect on every way I get happiness. And I realized that a lot of the ways that were so-called happiness was like really just to impress other people. And where am I getting my, a lot of it was from that. And I was like, man, when I heard that statement, are you trying to be God or serve God? That was another one. Are you trying to be God or serve God? I was like, a
I'm trying
lot
to
of
be
my
God.
endeavors, I'm trying to be the cool guy, the center, admired,
Center of
distinct,
adoration and distinction.
distinction, adoration. What's it? Profit, distinction, and adoration.
Profit, adoration, and distinction.
These
yeah.
are called subtle sex. We want
Oh.
profit. We want we want to be distinct. Matter of fact, I heard that one too. I heard that in a Srimad Bhagavatam class when I was really new. I just
You're
went
like,
to
what?
No, when I heard that,
Sex.
I was like, oh, I get it. My whole idea when I was a teenager about I'm a nonconformist. I was like, no, I'm
That
not.
was a
This is
show
just
too.
subtle sex. I want to be distinct from other people. So people say, you're cool. You're not like us. You're cool. I was like, I just want to be noticed and get validated in the material realm.
Mm.
It's got nothing to do with me being deep. I am a deep, unique person, but it's got nothing to do with the way I'm cutting my hair or growing a beard or, dyeing my hair or wearing unique clothes.
You
That's
used to
just
dye your
that.
hair back then, Raghunath, didn't you?
I used to dye my hair. Now, if I dyed my hair, it'd be very awkward. It'd just be hair on the side. Or like some men in
bleached it.
India dye their beards. Ever see that?
Yeah, it gets
Why
wild
do they do
sometimes.
that?
It's orange. It's
It's
bright
like
orange.
they don't even dye it a color that could be their color. They like dye it an orange color. You know what? Gray looks great. Go
Okay.
gray, people. It looks good. If you're thinking, well, I got to stop dyeing, you do. Just go gray. Gray's beautiful. Look,
Yeah,
Cheryl
it's
Mervyn right there.
only if you're
Cheryl, you look
trying
beautiful.
to be something you're not is gray a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. That's where it all starts, Raghunath. Aristotle.
Okay. That is a great launching pad for our verse.
Okay. You know what we're going to be reading now, Raghunath? These verses, every verse and every commentary, it's just chock full of good stuff.
All right. That's good.
You resisted saying chock full of nuts there. Well done, Raghunath.
I did. Are you kidding? Singing the entire Chuck Full of Nuts song, I almost said.
All right, hit it. Not chock full of nuts song.
Chock full of nuts is the heavenly. Isn't it weird that that's the only coffee people drank back then, like Sanka and chock full of nuts? There was no
Maxwell House. There's all kind of things. Let's
okay.
not go there though.
4 types of coffee, and there weren't. People don't know this, but there were no coffee shops.
Fancy coffee places.
There's no coffee shops.
No, you just got it in that Greek cup thing, right? That paper cup.
Oh yeah, that Greek paper cup. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Things have changed.
They sure have, Raghunath. Why don't we get it
sure.
right? Why don't we get it into
It happened.
A lot of changes in the coffee world.
Starbucks was like, oh, a coffee shop. Interesting. Let's meet at the coffee shop.
Well, there were cafes and things like that, Raghunath, in urban areas, and Europeans had a whole thing going on.
Yeah, it was in Europe. And now when you okay, let's let me get Narayanam Namaskrityanam Chaivanarottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tojayam Mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, what you offer respectful obeisance to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan, Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshva Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Utama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 7, Text 24.
Yeah, text 24. I think we had just heard this analogy. Well, we're hearing how we're not the body.
Yeah,
We heard that analogy.
We read this. We read 24 because I commented. We
Well,
commented on sober and expert.
Okay, let's read 24 again, and let's read the commentary because it's really worth getting into.
Okay. Sober and expert persons should search for the spirit soul with minds purified through analytical study in terms of the soul's connection with and distinction from all things that undergo creation, maintenance, and destruction. That's a pretty cool
Okay.
statement, isn't it? Can I just read that again? Sober and expert
it's not,
persons.
you know, let's just say you hear that, it may sound like, oh, that's too wordy. I'm not, no, it's actually quite simple.
Take it slow and listen to it. Sober and expert persons should search for the spirit soul with minds purified through analytical study in terms of one's soul's connection with and distinction from all things that undergo creation, maintenance, destruction.
You know, you said
it is
you,
sort
hold
of
it.
a run-on sentence.
What, perhaps, but you actually said you didn't read it precisely, and even what in that deviation. Sorry, I didn't mean to be judgmental about it.
I'm slightly deviant today.
But it could have even made it a little bit hard to understand because you said in terms of one's, I think you said one soul.
In terms of the soul's connection.
The soul's connection, right? Because it's not that I have a soul like I have a body and I have a mind, but I am the soul, right? So sober and expert persons. There's a good name for a band right there. We're sober and expert persons.
It is. It's more of like a post-punk.
So they should but they should search for the spirit soul. They should search for that spark of life, for that identity. Who am I? Right? With minds purified. That's a very interesting idea, right? My mind's corrupted. My mind is kind of polluted. It's not working efficiently because it's not in its pure state. How do I purify it? Through analytical study? Oh, I have to start to analyze things. You got to look at things, line them up, compare them. Okay, let's do that. In terms of what? In terms of the soul's connection with and distinction from. Okay, so my soul is connected to something, but it's also distinct from something. What's the criterion here that's significant?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's that the soul, it is eternal, whereas it's separated or distinct from everything that undergoes creation, maintenance, and destruction. That concept that there's certain things that go through those cycles. And we, through analysis, we can separate ourselves, see ourselves as distinct from everything that goes through creation, maintenance, and destruction. That's the initial process of understanding the self. If Aristotle says knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, the beginning of knowing oneself is this analytical study of how I am distinct from all that goes through these changes. It means not only does it mean I'm not my body, because my body goes through creation, maintenance, and destruction. It also means I'm not my mind. And it also means all the things that I identify with, my family, that goes through creation, maintenance, and destruction.
Mm-hmm.
My nation, that goes through creation, maintenance, and destruction. You know, all the extended identities, we distinguish ourselves from them, and that's the criterion. It's some things are influenced by time, and they go through the cycle of creation, maintenance, and destruction. And I'm not. I'm different from that. You want to read the word? Yeah, hit it.
A sober person. I love that word. Be a little sober.
Sober up.
Sober up. Getting all crazy talking about your coyote. Sober up, Kostuba.
That
Your
was
coyote.
that was a sober conversation. It's a beautiful creature. I adopted it. I went out all night looking for it. Is it hungry?
Oh, man.
All right, hit it. Keep going.
A sober person can study himself and distinguish the soul from the body by analytical study. For example,
Don't you feel like respected when someone's speaking to you like this, right? Isn't it like we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Prabhupada's, he's saying like, hey, okay, use your own head, figure it out, right? Think about it.
Well, yeah. His head, his hands, and so on. One can certainly understand the difference between the spirit soul and the body. No one says, I head.
I think you got to read that for example part. For example, when one considers his body.
For example, when one considers his body, his head, his hands, and so on, one can certainly understand the difference between the spirit, soul, and the body. No one says, I head. Everyone
No.
says, my head. Thus, there are
Oh.
two entities, the head and I. Some people are like, boom, mind blown. If you're the first time you've heard that, it's like, what?
Yeah, of course.
They are not identical, although they appear to be one conglomeration, right? It's my body. Whose body? Mine. Who's me? Oh, that's, yeah. Who has the body?
the one that's experiencing the body.
Right. One may argue, well, when we analyze the body, we find head, hands, legs, a belly, blood, bones, urine, stool, and so on. But after everything is considered, where is the existence of the soul?
Okay, so yeah, they're saying you just add up all these ingredients and then you have you.
That's
Isn't
what
it?
we are. We're everything. We're a conglomerate.
Yeah, well, we break it down, all these ingredients, and we still haven't found a soul in there.
Yeah. A sober man, however, avails himself of this Vedic instruction.
Okay, this is Taittiriya Upanishad. You want-
Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatanti jivanti, ye prayantya bivashyanti, tad vigyarasva, tad brahmeti.
Okay,
All
Prabhupada
the
doesn't give the
Sanskritists-
translation
all
of
the
that.
Sanskritists out there like, gong.
Eh.
Oh, he didn't give it. That's okay. He didn't give a translation.
Prabhupada didn't give it, but I went and I found it, Raghunath. So this is Taittiriya Upanishad.
I can guess.
Okay, let's hear what you
The-
think would be.
The spirit soul is all pervading. It can't be broken down. You have to have knowledge to understand it. It's part of Brahman. It can't be slain.
Not exactly.
Okay.
Nice try though.
Okay.
So the sage Brigu approaches his father.
Remind me not to translate any books to
That's
English.
part. That wasn't the part that was translated right there. This is a little context. Taittiriya Upanishad, 3rd chapter, is a conversation between the sage Brigu and his father Varuna,
Okay.
and he opens it up with this question: "Please teach me about Brahman. Please teach me about spirit." When you say "Please teach me about Brahman," it's saying, "Please teach me about the spiritual energy," and it's also like saying, "Please teach me about myself," because I'm made of spirit, and it's also like saying, "Please teach me about God." Right? Brahman kind of encompasses all of that. So tell me about Brahman. How will I understand it?
Mm-hmm.
You know. So then this is what was translated there: food, prana,
Mm-hmm.
the eyes, the ears, the mind, and speech. Right. So in a sense, this is a breakdown of the material ingredients, right? There's the food that we eat and all this made out of. There's the life air. This is the equipment that we're given to move through this world. We're given eyes, the senses, the eyes, the ears. We get the mind. We get this faculty for, of cognition, like a computer to work with. We get the power of speech. It's like a speaker, that we
Yeah.
get one of those. We get all this equipment, all of that, food, prana, the eyes, the ears, the mind, speech. That by which these are born and by which they continue to exist, and that into which when departing they all enter,
Mm-hmm.
that is Brahman. So it's saying there's something that maintains, there's something that stays the same, and that is the cause of the development of the body. And then the body is born, the body grows old, the body dies, and all of those ingredients are withdrawn again. That is Brahman. So now keeping that in mind, let's read how Prabhupada explains that without directly translating how he explains that in the commentary.
Thus, he can understand that the head, hands, legs, and indeed the entire body have grown on the basis of the soul.
Okay, see, that's the idea here, right? It's not that like
They're just growing.
or that the ingredients are put together and then consciousness develops because of the arrangement of the material ingredients.
Right.
It's
the
that
opposite.
it's the opposite, that they all come from consciousness and they facilitate a state of consciousness. And, you know, a particular body takes shape to facilitate someone's state of consciousness.
If the soul is within, the body, head, hands, and legs grow, but otherwise they do not.
There you go. It's
There you
pretty
go.
simple.
You could either think of it the other way, or you could think of it this way, but hear us out and try to apply this way to your thoughts. A dead child does not grow up. It's a good example right there. He's
Yeah.
got all the pieces. Why isn't growing anymore?
Yeah.
Well, just because the organs stop working. Why do they stop working?
Just start them up again.
They just start
Okay,
breaking.
we'll get those things like those electric things. Poof, poof, you know, those things.
Yeah, the poof machines.
Put them on someone's chest and shock them.
Those are pretty. A dead child does what do they call it? The defibrillator?
I have no idea.
A dead child does not grow up, for the soul is not present. If by a careful analysis of the body, one still cannot find the existence of the soul, this is due to his ignorance.
Okay.
How can a gross man fully engaged in materialistic activities understand the soul, which is a small particle of spirit? Hear this math. 1/10,000th the size of the tip of a hair.
The tip.
That's the size of it, but it spreads. You know, it's an energy that spreads and animates the body. Right?
It's awareness spreads.
Its awareness spreads.
Yeah.
Such a person foolishly thinks that the material body has grown from a combination of chemicals, although we cannot find them.
Okay, this is Prabhupada. You see, he would harp on this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't, he gave us, if we go deep into his books, we're going to find the esoteric teachings of bhakti. We'll find them in the Bhagavatam. We'll find them in Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? Radha and Krishna's love, Vrindavan, the bhakti in Vrindavan, the love of the residents of Vrindavan for Krishna, the love of the gopis, these kind of things. But when Prabhupada's when he's out in the world and he's trying to help people understand how to solve all the problems that we have in life, he's coming right here on this level, right? That the beginning of all knowledge is starting with knowing oneself. And he's very aggressively kind of countering the popular scientific ideas or models that were being taught in universities, And so with this statement, such a person foolishly thinks, he's got all this confidence that's based on this foundation of these ancient texts, which he's studied, contemplated, used them to analyze the world that he's lived in, and had his own direct spiritual experience with. And with that confidence, he's ready to say, you know what, that's a bluff. I see through the bluff. You're telling me that consciousness is arising just by a combination of material chemicals. Well, then my question to you would be, then create life in your laboratory, right? So he says, such a person foolishly thinks that the material body has grown from a combination of chemicals, although he cannot find them. He's saying, but I know, I've experimented with this knowledge that's come from the Vedas. He would challenge, right? Produce it. And now we're half a century down the road.
We will.
But they haven't.
Just give us time. Just give us time. We will. That's what they'll say. Prabhupada called that a post-dated check.
Don't accept it, he said.
What's that?
Don't accept a post-dated check.
Don't accept the post-dated check. We will in the future.
Yeah.
But it is we got to, and I understand an atheist point, we got a pretty crazy idea. We say that cows, quetzals, plum trees, alligators, they all came from some
Alligator.
mystical, energetic force that you can't quantify, you can't see, you can't perceive, you can't scientifically verify, you can't smell. And that's a crazy idea. This energetic force created everything. There's only one crazier theory than that, is that
It
the
all came from
quetzal,
nothing.
the cow, the plum tree, it actually came from nothing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what nothing is? Nothing is nothing. That's
Nothing.
that's a creation myth if I've ever heard one.
You're right. Right.
I can't believe people don't get down on that. It all came from nothing.
It's a bluff is powerful when it's couched within a lot of stuff that's not a bluff, right?
Sure.
In other words, I can pass a bluff over when I've already convinced you of so many ways of that what I'm speaking is true, and you can practically perceive that.
Sure.
So the thing is, the empiricists, I don't want to say the scientists. It's like there's all kind of scientists out there.
Yeah.
And there's
a lot
trends.
of scientists who don't agree with the theories that they put forth and teach in school. There's a lot now, more than ever, especially since the times of quantum physics. And
that's right.
They're like, oh, I get it. There's multi dimensions. There's things we can perceive. It's like a whole new era of science.
And you get but even like going to earlier eras, or when you take like an Einstein, and you know what, I'll be honest, it's not like I've studied his work and his writings all that much, but enough from what I've picked up. What I've picked up.
What did you pick up from Einstein, Kastuba?
Is that he kind of he on that ego level, like he didn't have, when Krishna. I was studying one phrase this morning, a phrase that's found twice in the Bhagavad Gita. Oh my God, we're running out of time. Well, you keep throwing that out there as if that's the answer to
twice
everything.
In the Bhagavad Gita.
That is twice. A good point, but it's not that. Vita raga bhaya krodha.
Vita bhaya raga.
Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger.
I didn't know that was said twice. Okay.
Yeah, it's in the second chapter where it's describing the Stita Dhir Muni, right? That's one context. Like, I've let go of my attachments. I've let go of my fear. I've let go of my anger at other living beings. It's given me this even mind that I pass through the world. But then it's spoken of in a deeper context in text 410, where it follows in the wake of the verse where it describes, if you understand Krishna's birth and his activities, janma karma chame divyam, that they're transcendental, that you don't take birth again in this world. And then what is that? What is the attachment that prevents us from understanding Krishna's his leela, his activities? What kind of attachment? What kind of fear? What kind of anger prevents us from understanding Krishna? Or let's remove that one step. What type of attachment, what type of fear, what type of anger or resentment prevents are, even if I'm super intelligent and studied science and got a PhD and all that, what kind of attachment, fear, or anger prevents me from perceiving the personal source behind all existence? And when I look at Einstein, what I pick up is he wasn't so burdened by attachment, fear, and anger that he could say, I understand, through my studies, I've begun to understand a lot about how this world works. But when it comes to understanding where it all comes from, that I don't know. That I can make a few inferences, but I don't know. To understand that, we'd have to have a whole nother field of study. And Prabhupada is always saying there is no field of study for that in the universities. Where, we have Harvard and MIT, but where are they studying that? He would say it just like this: the difference between a living body and the dead body. And that's what he's getting into in this commentary, right? let's just break it down to this fundamental question. You cannot identify where the life comes from in the body, and the proof of that is that you can't create life in your laboratory. So then what is it that's distinct? Well, we don't know. We can't find it in our laboratory. Okay, then we need to start to approach other sources of knowledge, right? You're saying that if it doesn't exist within the realm of my direct perception extended through our instruments of science, then we reject it. Whereas someone without attachment, fear, and anger, someone without issues, can say, well, what other sources are out there? Well, here's some ancient books of testimony of people that said that they experienced and understood what was beyond all this. And these and their theories are still holding up after millennia. You can't prove them wrong. Why not give them a chance? Why not engage with them? Think about them. That maybe, just maybe, these guys were right all along. That life, that consciousness, that awareness is made of a completely different energy that you can't perceive through the material senses. And that's what gives life to the body. So therefore, even if you have all the ingredients to the body, you don't necessarily have life. Right. And you won't be, and no matter how powerful your microscope is, when you look into it, you won't find it. But if you engage with this idea, well, it begins to open up the door to all kinds of knowledge about life. The real deepest questions about life begin by understanding this distinction. I'm not this body. I am something completely different. I am made out of something completely different. I have a completely different nature that doesn't go through creation, maintenance, and destruction. That's who I am. It's again, just like where we started. It's such a refreshing way to approach the deepest questions in life. Not with a big threat based on blind faith, but with an invitation to begin to examine, who am I?
Who am I? I'm Jean Valjean. Okay, it's time for takeaways. 8 o'clock.
Mara?
All right.
Who am I? I'm going to be singing that song all day now. Thanks for that.
Krishna shows us the ugliness of false self and ego.
Oh, it's ugly.
Authenticity and sincerity are attractive.
Say that again.
Authenticity and sincerity are attractive.
Very
Yes,
attractive.
very attractive.
What is the full blossoming of my spiritual potential?
What is it, Raghunath? I know what Raghunath is. Elderly gopi with a little baby Krishna in his arms.
Full potential. Live your full potential. Become an elderly gopi. I can help you. Hi, I'm Raghunath. Some of you are not stepping into bigger shoes. If you take my life coaching course, I can help you step into those shoes. Actually, they're ladies' sandals, elderly ladies' sandals. Where you too can rock sweet baby Krishna to sleep at night.
For eternity.
Wait a second. I thought this was a business course. Okay.
All right. Start with knowing yourself.
That's where it starts.
Start with knowing yourself. Yeah.
The Vedas are an incredible user's manual for life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Planet Earth manual.
Is our happiness coming from the soul or the ego?
Which one? Raghunath
You seem
asked
like you're
himself
gonna be
that question.
depressed after
That was your epiphany moment, Raghunath.
It was. It's like, what? What?
Examine how we lost touch with our blissful nature.
Check it out.
You know, it's great. Laura from Chicago has a picture of herself really smiling. So if I say something that is sort of a joke, I look at her picture. I was like, oh, I guess that was funny.
She's laughing.
She's laughing. She's happy. Everyone else has like these. Everyone live has like these flat faces on. So I'll go right to Laura's picture for some validation.
Find your validation, Raghunath.
Thank
Find
you.
it there.
Purify our minds and search for the spirit soul within.
Purify your minds. Okay.
Don't accept a post-dated check.
Rejected.
What types of attachments, fear, and anger are preventing our perception of the divine?
Interesting.
Truth blockers.
Truth blockers. Be humble like Einstein. And
Mm.
go gray. Gray is beautiful.
Oh, gray. Gray's beautiful. Wow, everybody, thanks for joining us. And tomorrow's show is not happening, right?
No show.
No show tomorrow. No show Wednesday. Back at 3 p.m. Thursday. Maybe we get some
And Friday.
Californians. And Friday. If you want to go to Italy with us, check out wisdomofthesages.com and sign up. Got a good crew this year. Looking forward to it. My book is coming out April 9th. You can pre-order it on Amazon.com. Bigger takeaway is double that.
Where are you going, by the way? What are you doing right now?
We're going to California to do the Rich Roll podcast.
Okay. And then and you're doing the couple
And
shows
I come
there.
back Thursday and do Ben Salem. No.
And then you go
Hampton,
out to
Connecticut.
California again. That's what's happening,
Yeah,
right?
then I go. Yeah, I got this down. Ben Salem. No. Hamden, Ben Salem, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, New York.
Pawtucket.
Then I got like a day off, 2 days off, and then I go Wednesday. We're doing Kirtan at Kumi's Yoga Studio, and then Kirtan at the Krishna House in San Diego.
Oh, Raghunath froze up. All right. Is he coming back? I think we lost the people. All right. I don't know if I can end this, but
Then Friday we go to Cohasset. I do a yoga workshop, and Saturday I do Back Bay Yoga,
okay.
and then Bridge 9 Records. In the store in there. That's my schedule. I got to figure it out.
You froze out for a lot of that, but when are you in New York?
You're kidding! I did. I was so proud of myself. I've got every date in a line.
When are you doing that place in the record store in New York?
It's 2:00 this Sunday.
Oh, this Sunday. Oh, before the show. All right.
Gotta go back and look for your coyote, man. We used to have coyotes here all the time coming. They
Coyote.
don't come. Some more Zoomers from Rich Roll.
Hey,
Yeah, those might return.
Rich Roll. When are you actually recording that? On Wednesday?
Wednesday morning, yeah.
Nice.
Say a
Where's
little
he
prayer.
situated?
I don't say, I'm going to ask everybody to say a little prayer. And Rich, I say things that inspire people to bring to bhakti, and say things that are not stupid. Say that prayer, please.
Okay. Where does he live, or where is his show thing?
Thousand Oaks.
Where's
North
Thousand
of
Oaks?
Calabasas, yeah.
Where's Thousand Oaks?
Topanga Canyon.
Huh?
North of Topanga Canyon is Calabasas. North of Calabasas is Thousand Oaks.
So that's kind of like Santa Barbara-ish area, kind of.
South of Santa Barbara. South of Ventura, south of that. Who's the target audience from Punk to Monk? I wrote it for everybody in Chuta. I wrote it for your family, your friends.
How do you get to Thousand Oaks once you from Los Angeles?
Take the 101. Look who's here. It's Krishna Chaitanya Das from Shelter. Say hello.
Hey, there he is. Great soul, great soul. Great to see you.
KC. He's living down by New Verdabin now.
Really?
Yeah.